Welcome in, Big Blue Nation. Cats Talk Podcast here. Cameron Johnston and Tyler Britton here after Kentucky's win 82 to 55 over the Central Michigan Chippewas in what was a tight game in the first half. 57% shooting from Central Michigan allowed them to stay in this game early until halftime, until Kentucky really put the clamps on in the second half. And what is going to be my biggest takeaway of this game is just a difference defensively from this team in the first half to the second half. Tyler, just asking your immediate takeaways before we dive into this a little bit more in depth. I think that was my biggest takeaway from the first half to the second half of this game.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I put down on the paper was the size differential, which I think played a big part in the game, especially in the second half there. I thought the team came together. I thought they played it a little close. Central Michigan, I mean, they were talking about in their press conference after the game. They weren't scared about the size, and I think that's really the mindset you need to have playing Kentucky. It doesn't mean it's going to make that much of a difference for you long term in the game. So ultimately, I think the size prevailed for Kentucky here. One of my biggest takeaways, though, three players on the team that really carried the field goal percentage: Jordan Obi, Tiani Key, and Clara Strack. Really, everybody else was really low on their field goal percentages. I was kind of worried about that. Maybe not necessarily for this game, but for some other games. Maybe it was just the first game back in the Coliseum here, but that was something that I did notate here. Otherwise, 82 points, good game. They let up a few more points I thought they were going to let up against Central Michigan. 55 for Central Michigan there, but good game overall.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the shooting outside of we have these bigs. I think the bigs are going to be the ones who continuously improve that field goal percentage. Jordan Obi, Tiani Key. I mean, those guys, those are two ladies that majority of their shots are coming within 8 to 10 feet of the rim. So you're looking for them to have higher shooting percentages. But I think Asia Boone played well in this game. Only shot 4 of 11, but 3 of 8 from three. So 37.5% shooting from three for her. And that's what you need her to do. You need her to be that volume shooter. The thing I think that she really added a lot in this game, played solid defense, and to give you 7 rebounds for your backup point guard, to give you 7 rebounds off the bench, I think that was critical in this game. In 28 minutes, I mean, they talked about it in the post game. She's essentially just a sixth starter. They feel comfortable going to her when Tony does need a break, because Tony in this game, fantastic again, 12 points, 11 assists, no turnovers. Tyler, I mentioned this to you last time. She very much reminds me of the female Rajon Rondo. And for me to say that, very, very high praise, because you know how much I love Rajon. And I mean, she keeps blowing me away game after game. Only shot 3 of 8 in this one, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. I genuinely think with how she goes, this team goes. Because if she can continue to have assisted turnover margins like this, 11-0, which I'm not putting that much pressure on her, but if she can continue to do stuff like this, you're going to see Kentucky win a lot of games.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, first I want to compliment you on the Asia Boone take there. Obviously, really good game there. I think she's finally coming into that role that was expected of her at the beginning. Kenny Brooks was talking about that at the beginning of the season, really utilizing her. They don't really see her as a role player, but someone that can actually be in and actually be a comfortable starter with them. So, huge shout out to her and playing the way she did. I thought Lexi Blue was also filling her role. They won't show that in the stat sheet. I think she had -3 in the plus minus category, but I don't think that's necessarily negative against her. I think it was just a situation she was put in on the court, but she had a couple good shots there too. Third quarter was a big quarter for the team as well. That was the coach was saying it at the press conference. It was a recalibration. Kind of reminded him they like to play kind of like the Golden State Warriors back in the day, where they would come out in the third quarter and really recalibrate after halftime and go out there and dominate. I'm seeing it a couple times this year where they've done that now.
Louisville as well.
Yep. So I mean, I think that's a trend you're going to start to see. They kind of fell off in the fourth quarter. I thought there was a few players that got some points out there, but they really were flat there. But the third quarter is really what stuck out to me, and I think that allowed them to go flat in the fourth quarter if needed.
Yeah, I mean, they had a 7-point lead going into halftime, 45-38. And you mentioned that third quarter blitz that he termed it as 21-9 was the difference in the third quarter. Some of you are talking about putting the game away just in that quarter alone. And a lot of that was Tiani Key. I think Tiani Key had 3 back-to-back buckets in which he had a offensive rebound, a steal in that as well. And I mentioned this to you during the game. When Tiani Key shows up with that effort, with that tenacity, and that want to and that will to play the game, she's unstoppable. And when you have her and Clara that are both willing to do that at the same time, to have 2 bigs like that, and then your third big is a knockdown 3-point shooter. Granted, again, in this one, it's not going to show that Amelia had a very, very tough game today. But that's a 3 that you can really get behind, especially when Tony Morgan's going to be able to facilitate it to all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just taking away from the third quarter notes here. Tiana Key had 9 points for the third quarter.
Mhm.
Asia Boone had 5. Clara Streck had 4. Just to start the third quarter, Tiana Key went 4 for 4 for 8. She had 3 rebounds and a steal just to start the half herself. And then everybody else kind of rallied behind her. So, um, again, if they can continue that momentum going to third quarters like that, it makes their fourth quarter a whole lot easier. But they also, I do want to start seeing them in the fourth quarter against teams like Central Michigan, some other teams that they've been playing so far, finish out the fourth quarter strong. I'm not saying they don't. I'm not saying they're not putting full effort in, but I would like to see them finish stronger. Just that way, they can be used for, or they can be ready for some of the bigger opponents coming up, especially as they get more into conference play here coming soon.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is more just them resting their legs. Like looking at the fourth quarter minutes, Tony Morgan only played 4 of the minutes. Jordan Obi only played 4 minutes as well. So I think that's a lot of what you're looking at when it comes to that fourth quarter. You develop a lead, you just kind of want to get out of there unscathed without injuries. Kind of, we see it in football all the time. Get your guys in and get them out. But I just kind of wanted to mention, I mean, Tyler, we look at this 31 rebounds for Central Michigan, 35 for the Cats. Normally, you see in a game like this, Kentucky really, really out rebounds an opponent, and that's what allows them to get a 27-point win like they just did. This is a game in which they had to find it in a different direction. They weren't able to just straight out muscle and out rebound another team. So it was good to see that they can win in a different variety of a different variation. Because when we look at this, like, we've barely mentioned Clara Strack's name in this game. I mean, 14 points on 7 of 9 shooting, only 4 rebounds. Obviously, a game like this, I think Clara did get pushed around a little bit in this one. And I think having Tiani Key have her step up, have those 11 rebounds was huge. And you mentioned her 9 third quarter points was a big stepping stone on why the Cats were able to get a big victory like this.
Absolutely. Kenny Brooks was talking about it earlier in the year. I think we mentioned it in one of our previous podcasts too. But Kenny Brooks said that this is going to be a team that wins in the paint. But it
Mm-hmm.
was also really nice. I think the game that they won, I forget which game it was specifically, but they were hitting threes like no other, and they were hitting those field goal shots like no other. So it is nice that they have players that can shoot for games like this, where maybe Claire's not having. The sad thing is Claire still had a plus 31 in the
Mm-hmm.
category, but we would all say that Claire was kind of quiet in this game,
Yeah.
in general. There was also a lot of fouls in this game, which I think restricted some of them. Clara got in foul trouble a little bit early. Jordan Obi got so I feel like they were holding back a little bit. But to your point, it is nice that we can see complementary basketball here. And Kenny Brooks was talking about that too. It's a really cohesive unit. And you're starting to see that here with the team. And the Central Michigan's coach also mentioned as well. This team, even during pregame, they were clicking together. They were, there's a chemistry that they have that you really don't see among all teams in Kentucky. We'll just say that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that. They talked about even in the press conference roster construction and how
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Brooks looked at the offseason and said, hey, I know what I have with Tiani, with Amelia, with Clara. He went out and got a facilitator in Tony Morgan. He's like, okay, what do we need now that I've got Jordan Obi as well? He went out and he got a shooter in Asia Boone who he needed, who went 3 of 8 in this game and really gave you that spark from behind the 3-point line, because without her 3 makes, the stat sheet looks a lot worse because
Mm-hmm.
Amelia Hassett, who's supposed to be your other knockdown shooter, only goes 2 of 10. So, Coach Pope, I know you guys are in the same building. Maybe take a little bit of notes from Kenny Brooks and how he constructed this roster.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with that men's basketball team. But for now, women's basketball, they're seeming to gel here, and I think they're starting to do it at the right time.
Yep.
I think this will pay dividends when we get down the stretch here, getting through December, and then I think in the very beginning of January, that's when the tough games really start. The games they already matter now, but they're going to really start mattering here soon.
Yeah, and the thing that's crazy to see about this team is like they won by 27, scored 82 points, and still only shot 23% from 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going to happen when, Amelia, I mentioned this to you during the game, shot 10 threes. She's not scared to get them up. What happens when those start falling? Say she hits them at a 40% clip. Say, Asia Boone starts to hit them around that clip as well. Your 2 3-point shooters. What does that do for this team? Hopefully they start to get that before they get into SEC play here in a couple weeks, because I think that's what will take this team from being a potential, Sweet 16 team to taking them a little bit further in that is the play and the shooting of both Amelia Hassett and Asia Boone.
Yeah, ironically, I just want to hit on something really quick. You were talking about the 3-point shot, and I was doing a quick double check here. Ironically, the team scored today 50% from the field, 23 from 3. That's what their season stats are all year. So they were right on par for where they're at on season. I would like to see them jump that up a little bit, and not just be carried by 3 people. I would like to see it more spread out. And you mentioned Amelia Hassett really missed some shots today, and I think that she can do better.
Mhm.
We've seen it before. I do have belief that she'll be better down the stretch. I think some other players will pick up as well. But overall, I think this team's in a good spot, and we've talked about that a lot in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, and they have a full week until they play next. They
Mm-hmm.
got Belmont next Sunday. They've mentioned how much traveling they've done. Obviously, this is their first game that
Time to relax.
we've been here in like 3
Yeah.
weeks. So I mean, they've got a week until they head down to Nashville to play Belmont. Obviously, we're looking forward to that game, but I think it's gonna be nice just for these ladies to be able to rest, relax. I mean, they spent Thanksgiving in Puerto Rico.
Yep.
See some family, see some friends, relax, watch the film, get better. Because a lot of those times when you're practicing in random gyms, you're practicing wherever you can. You know, it's almost like anything with like even weightlifting. When you're not outside of your normal gym, you can't get the same normal pump that you get in when you go. And I think these ladies get back into that rhythm, and I think you'll see a big game from them against Belmont. And hopefully, a lot of that comes from the 3-point line because I'm telling you, man, I think that is the X factor in how far this team can take it. Because I think this is just the baseline of what they can do. If they shoot 23% from three on 26 attempts, which is a lot of 3-point attempts. Like we're talking about Coach Pope and how he wants to get to 25 to 33s, and everybody's saying that's too many. Well, we just shot 26 on 23% shooting. If those start to fall and you get that even closer to the 30, 32% 3-point mark, I mean, you're talking about this team scoring into the 90s just in this game. And I think that's something that can take them to a far and away better level than what they're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with you. You know, right now they're playing. I mean, we're talking about the size differential right now with Central Michigan and many other teams before this. Once they get into SEC play, Claire Strack, I mean, I definitely think she's one of the bigger ones out there. So she's going to be able to dominate for the most part. But she's going to be facing competition which won't let her score, 14 points a game every single time. She's going to have games where she struggles. You're going to need to find a Tony Morgan, a Tiani Key, a Jordan Obi, a Lexi Blue, an Asia Boone that can pick up the slack a little bit on those shots. And Amelia Hassett needs to step up on those. And, to be fair, you have 4 or 5 starters doing really well. Nothing against Amelia here, but, it's okay if Amelia has an off day or someone else has an off day. But the rest of the team does need to pick that up. And if you have all 5 clicking, that's perfect. That's how you're going to win championships.
Yeah, it just seems like right now she's having a little bit more off days than I think we need, especially because she is our 3-point shooter when it comes to that starting lineup. Asia comes off the bench, so we do need to have her, especially in that role when that starting 5's out there a lot. She does need to pick up that slack, and I think she will. I mean, she's got the form, she's got the shot. She takes the most shots you see pregame. I mean, she's out there the entire time working her tail off. So I think that'll start to come around. And I do want to mention Jordan Obi really quick. I mean, for a guard to come in here in 7 of 10, and it just like 14 points, and we're like barely talking about her. 70% from the field. Like she's just as consistent as they come. Like she goes on a quick like 6-point run. It seems like almost every game to get this team started, and then she kind of fades in the distance until they needed her. And I feel like that's what you get from both Tony and Jordan Obi. I think both of them, especially running the backcourt. I mean, I think outside of shooting, they give you anything and everything that you need from guards going into SEC play.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this team and how they can grow moving forward. It seems like they're starting to come together as a unit. They've already been doing that, but now you're starting to include Asia Boone into everything. This team's going to be a menace to be reckoned with coming into SEC play here soon.
Yep, and of course we'll have you covered here on the Cats Talk podcast. We have a full week until the next women's game. They will be playing in Nashville against Belmont. Tyler, we need some wins in Nashville. I mean,
we've not been doing good in that category this year.
I love Nashville, but boy, do we need some more wins. But Cameron Johnston, Tyler Britton here at the Cats Talk podcast. We'll have you covered on YouTube, on Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts, we're there. Tyler, anything else for Big Blue Nation? 27-point win, ending the weekend right. Got anything for him?
Let's go Big Blue. Let's go Nashville. Let's go get a big win.
All right, go Cats.
Go Cats.